Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today we're taking a little night drive in my E39 M5. I always thought this had such an incredible presence on the road at night with the angel eyes, and of course, these beautiful tail lights from the LCI, the 2001 through 2003. These just look tops. I love it. This car is so handsome. I think it always looks good. And you know what? It's a beautiful fall night. It's a little crisp outside. It feels good to be warm and cozy inside your leather-wrapped interior. So let's take a look inside. Now, last weekend, I just did 400 miles in a Lancia Delta Integrale Evolution 2. Very cool, except you know what? It's very difficult to find all the buttons you want inside because when you turn the headlights on, it doesn't light up all of the things in the cabin that you may need. But here in my M5, this is such an easy car to drive at night because all of the buttons, all of the switches are illuminated. Even the shifter. The shift knob has an illuminated top which tells you the H pattern, which of course we don't really need to see to shift our vehicles, but it is really nice to see. And a lot of aftermarket versions of this, they don't hook up, so they do not light up. But before we get started, today's video is sponsored by Carly Connected Car. This little OBD2 dongle has saved me quite a lot of time and definitely some money, because when you have the information when your car throws a check engine light, you have all of the power to determine what to do next. Now, I know you're all on the forums for all of the cars that you own, but what's most frustrating is when somebody sends an image or a picture of a check engine light and says, "What's wrong with my car?" Don't be that guy or girl. What you can do is get yourself a Carly Connected Car OBD2 adapter, and then right from your phone, you can read all of the cars and diagnose yourself. But Carly has gone a step further because sometimes knowing the codes just isn't enough. You still have to go on Google and figure out what's going on and what those potential symptoms could be. So now within the app, you've got the Carly Smart Mechanic, which will tell you some of the reasons that might be causing the fault codes and even give you schematic diagrams of the parts of your car that could be impacted. This is huge for the DIY guys because you'll be able to make smarter decisions about what you're going to tackle when you're fixing problems and do it right the first time. Or if you're like me, you want to know what you're in for before you send it to your mechanic so you don't have any surprise repair bills. And I own an M5 and an M3, so trust me, I know all about surprise repair bills. So if this sounds like it could have a positive impact on your life, save you a little bit of money, and give you more information about your complicated car that's throwing codes, go ahead and click the link in the description. Thanks to Carly Connected Car. Be a little gentle. We're not quite up to temperature, but it still sounds really nice. And I think at night you're really able to appreciate all the sounds of the car because you're more isolated. You're not distracted by all kinds of things around you. You really just commune with the car. I know a lot of you guys probably do some big long haul overnight drives. There's something really genuinely wonderful about doing that. Now, I almost always drive with this monitor off, and it's great because on the menu screen you just hit it and boom, it's off. I'm really glad that's a simple process because I hate having additional distractions while I'm driving, especially at night, and a glaring infotainment screen, especially from 2001, that isn't really giving me any data I could possibly use, is quite helpful. Now, I typically run with my fog lights on. I know a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't do that. I do it because I feel like it really shows the width of the car. And for me, that's just a little added protection. I think it looks a little more intimidating in someone's rearview mirror. So, you know, take it or leave it. That's just for me. The low end torque of the M5 makes it just so smooth and easy to drive at low speeds. The gearbox, though, while it is easy and simple and kind of nice to row, it's not perfect, and it definitely, you know, it wants to be shifted at the right moments. Now, it's not notchy or crunchy, but on a cold day when you've just gotten running, you've got to be kind of timing your shifts well. You got to be patient, because if you do force it, you will probably start grinding those synchros and it will become an unhappy transmission. So always be in tune with your machines, because the more you force things, the less it rewards you down the road, especially if you're looking to keep a car for a long time like I'm doing with this one. To me, I think the E39 M5 is the perfect level of classic. You have handling characteristics that rival some modern cars, so you're not really missing out there. And the computer systems are modern enough that you're not pre-96, you're not OBD1. Look at this. These Continental Extreme Contact Sports really changed the game on the grip levels of this car. I've not really played with those yet. And here we are approaching a Corvette. That's what this was meant to beat back in the day. Not a C6, of course, but still kind of a cool thing that your four-door sports sedan could hang with a Vette. But here's the thing. It's just enough of a classic where you get all the nostalgia, all the beauty, all the cool features of an old car, but you still have modern enough electronics that there's not like one guy in Germany who knows how to fix. I mean, that's the problem that, you know, in a different realm of thinking, people are having with their Rolls Royces and stuff, because sometimes all the crazy cutting edge stuff they put into these cars are very difficult to deal with now. There's generations of Ferrari that will only communicate to a computer via a Wi-Fi card plugged into USB of probably a Windows 98 device. I mean, that's a problem down the road, because at some point you're not going to be able to connect your car to the thing. And luckily, this car was ubiquitous enough in the way it communicates to the world, I think, that you could probably keep this for a very long time and not need some outrageously specialized mechanic for quite a few years down the road. Now, another thing too is that this is a big and safe enough car that you can drive it without. And another thing is that this car is new enough, early 2000s, to be relatively safe. I mean, I can go and drive this around and not feel too vulnerable. I cannot say the same thing about my 1988 Porsche 911 Carrera. I mean, every time I go out in that car in traffic, I just feel like I'm taking a big physical risk, because even if I'm on point and I'm doing a good job as a driver, something bad could happen, and all it takes is somebody staring at their cell phone, which they often are doing instead of driving, and now we have a pancake 911 and a dead Tedward. Now, I've been very fortunate on YouTube to be able to make this my job, but I am still not yet at the level where I can go buy my 100-acre farm in Vermont and kind of sign off from the world and just review cars up in the boondocks. That would be great. I do, in fact, have to live here in a normal environment outside of a city with traffic, and that's the thing. Having an unsafe car it's just not a great idea. I've spent a lot of money on my education, and I'm really excited about my future, so I don't want to daily drive something that's going to get me killed. Well, let's talk about a few things that I do need to do on this car and some other things that will likely go wrong. So number one, likely to go wrong, probably this mirror. We've got the self-dimming mirror, the rear view mirror here. There's like a gel between two pieces of glass. Everybody knows how it works, but these are kind of old and they do fail, and you do have to send them out. I think it's about $300. Not crazy, but when that does go, I'm ready for it, because I like a nice self-dimming mirror, and this one works really well. And come springtime, it's gonna be time to do a full suspension refresh, because remember, this is riding on the original OEM suspension from BMW from 2001. Even though they're still holding up all right, there's no way that these dampers, these struts, are anywhere near what they used to be 20 years ago. So it's time to make a replacement. And the question will be, do we go like Coney Yellow and Dynon lowering springs, or do we just go completely stock and keep it as is? I'm cool either way. I'm curious what you guys have to think. I'm not gonna base my decision off of that, but I gotta do a little more research and feel out what each one feels like. In addition to that, we definitely got to do brakes because it's time. I don't really feel comfortable stopping from very, very high speeds. And this car was designed to be going 160 miles an hour on wide open Autobahn. Ooh, yes, unpaved roads, and we're back. I want to be able to do the thing it was set out to do better than it set out to do it when it comes to brakes. Everything else, I'm fine. Don't need more power, don't need crazier suspension. I do want crazier brakes. Brakes are always a good thing to upgrade. Part of the thing that makes this M5 so special is the mid-range torque. I very rarely rev it all the way out. It doesn't need to be revved all the way out. It's almost like when a turbo engine, and I know that's crazy. I'm not trying to say it's like a turbo engine, but what I'm saying is like to really enjoy the full torque curve, it feels like short shifting it gives you a bit, I don't know if it's an advantage, but it feels okay. It feels right. It feels natural to short shift it a bit. And I like that. I like that you don't have to wind it out and just stress it to the, like at the end of its life just to get a rise. It really just runs like a champion. Anything above 4,000 RPM and it's ready to go. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A night drive in the E39 M5. Probably one of my favorite drivable classics that people can afford. I mean, people can have this car. It's not outrageous. It's not cheap anymore, but we're not talking about crazy big money. So thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Let me know what you think about the night drives below. It's winter. We're going to have a lot more darkness than daylight coming up, so it's always a good idea to have this in my back pocket. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive and keep your classics alive. Please keep your classics alive. I'll just run red lights, man. Screw traffic lights. Just send it. Your Mercury Sable. Is he drunk? That's the question. Is he drunk? Is he going to hit the curb? Is he going to go head on with somebody? And then comes the question, would I rather him be ahead of me or behind me? Behind me is scary because he'll rear end me when he falls asleep at the wheel or stares at his phone and doesn't realize I've come to a stop at a red light, which he seems to not really care about. Or ahead of me, safer, I can make more calls back here. I can leave more distance. But if he decides to veer across double yellows and go head on and collect an oncoming vehicle, especially if it's a heavy vehicle, say, an F-350 Super Duty, such as that, I think the momentum is going to end up coming right into me. So, I think I'm screwed either way, but I think we're good behind him.